guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Danny here from our humble home, and in today's video I'm going to be redesigning, probably more trying to recreate a pretty little Kmart dress I bought not so long ago. I think it's so pretty. So here I'm at Spotlight. I'm just having a look at some fabrics to buy. I'm not too sure. I don't want to get anything too expensive because I'll be making this from scratch. So this is a little dress I bought from Kmart. It was $20 and I just love the style of it. I love the design. It's really comfortable to wear, and they never really had any others in nice colors, so I thought, what if I try to make a pattern myself out of this? I ended up buying poplin, which is 80% polyester, 20% cotton, and it's very cheap, so I thought I'd do this and cross our fingers, we'll see how we go. So like I said, this is the little pink dress I bought. It was $20. I ended up getting a size 16 because I only had a 12 and a 16. They never had 14, and I had to actually take it up a little bit. But the process for this will be a little bit difficult because I don't want to ruin this dress, so I'm not going to actually cut it up and pull it apart to make a pattern for it. So what I've got to try to do is make a pattern just by sort of spreading it out and trying to find where the panels are, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a little bit tricky, a little bit difficult, and it's sort of going to be hit and miss, but we'll see how we go. So at this point I'm just trying to make the pattern for the skirt part of this dress, and whenever I make a pattern like this, even if I deconstruct an outfit, a top or a skirt, I will always, when I make the pattern, make it on the fold, because then you know it will be symmetrical, and when you go to cut it out, it will, well, it should all be pretty even. When doing that, I also added a little bit extra for the seam. Yeah, it is quite hard to do, and until you get sort of have cut them all out and are putting them together, you know, you really don't know in this situation if it's going to work and if the size is right and the measurements too. Okay, so the next part I am doing is the top part of the bodice, so the part that joins to the skirt, and I am just drawing up along the neck, down the sleeve seam, down the side seam, and across the front to where the skirt will actually join. As you can see, I'm not measuring anything, I'm purely just, you know, guessing really at this point. So yeah, I'm just not sure. Every so often I sort of go back and check and make sure that the sizes are the same, the seam lengths are the same, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I really didn't know how this was going to turn out, to be honest, but I thought I'm going to give it a go. We'll just see. And so the last piece of this pattern will be the sleeves. There are only 3 pieces to this, so the skirt, the top, and the sleeve. And so you only have to cut out 3 pieces for the pattern, because you can cut out multiple when it comes to cutting the fabric out. And this was a little bit tricky because this had elastic in it, and like I said before, if I was actually deconstructing it and pulling it apart, it would have been easier, but I just sort of pulled it and I estimated where it would be, and because the sleeve is actually elasticated, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. Like if it's a little bit short, it wouldn't matter, it just wouldn't be as gathered. So I estimate that, I add a little bit of a seam, and I cut that piece out. think it's important to mark when you're doing this so you know what piece is what, not only the actual piece but the sides, like which side goes where, which side joins to what, because you have no pattern, you've just got the dress to go by, and you know that's really not going to be too easy to see and understand if you haven't labeled things properly. So the next step is cutting the fabric using the pattern I've just made and cutting the fabric out. So like I said, there were 3 pieces of the pattern, but there'll be 6 pieces altogether because you have to cut out 2 pieces of skirt, 2 pieces of top, and 2 pieces of sleeve, and they were on the fold. Now we're up to the joining them together part, and the first step of putting them together is actually joining the top and the bottom. This is a sleeve, and I did actually adjust this a little bit because as you can see that's the top, around the top of the shoulder, and it did go up into a point a little bit, and that would have been too hard to turn over and make neat and make a casing for the elastic, so I just snipped that off, and I did that with the pattern too, so next time I cut it out I will know. And what I'm doing here is actually making a casing for the elastic that will go around the top of the sleeve, and I'll do another one at the base of the sleeve that will make the sleeve come in and be a little bit puffy. The sleeve on the dress there as a guide as to how much elastic I would need. I could have wrapped it around my arm and just measured, but I thought I may as well just use the sleeve on the dress and the elastic in that as a guide as to how much elastic I'd need. And I just popped a little safety pin in the end, and I'm threading it through the casing that I just sewed, and here I will sew the ends together so that the elastic doesn't move. I sewed the elastic together and stitched up the casing. The next step is to attach the sleeves to the actual front and back that I've sewn together. So I'm just attaching the side seam, well the sleeve seams to the top. I sort of get to the point soon where the top part there looked a little bit wide, and so I decided to put elastic in the top too. Here I am again just adjusting the pattern because it went up a little bit there and it didn't need to, so I did that on the dress, and also I readjusted the pattern for next time too. So what I'm doing here is the same process, is turning over once, then turning over again to make a casing. Instead of just leaving this sewn plain, I am going to add elastic to this because I realized this was a little bit bigger than the pink dress, and it would have been a bit floppy, and I think it would have looked funny if I hadn't added elastic to this. So I do that first, and then I will sew the sleeves into it. So that's what it looks like after I've sewed the sleeves in and attached it to the bodice. So I was really pleased with that. After I had done that, I actually went and tried it on, because all I really had to do then was hem. But when I tried it on at the back, it was a little bit baggy, and I thought that's weird. And I came back to have a look at the dress, and at the back of the pink dress that actually put a little bit of elastic in the back, and that sort of will gather it up and make it a little bit more fitted. So I decided to do the same thing. I just measured the length of the elastic. I measured to be the same as the elastic that they've used in theirs. And how I attached it was, I just attached it to the seam on the inside that's between the seam between the top and the bottom. I didn't want stitching to show, so I thought if I did that, it would still give the same effect. It would gather it in, but you wouldn't be able to see the actual sewing. After I had done that, I realized I'd actually sewn part of the dress in, and so I had to unpick a little bit and just re-sew the elastic down, but that was fine. It all turned out fine. It looked really good after that, and it did the job too. The last piece of this was to sew the hem in, and then it was all done. So I had to end up putting some little darts in here just to hold it in a little bit because it was sticking out too much. But this one I'm really pleased with, and I'm pleased with the sleeves. You can wear it on the shoulder or off the shoulder sort of thing. Yeah, I think it's not too bad.
Very nice.
The sleeves are cute. Got elastic there. Yeah. I know it's only cheap material, but I might get some good material now and make a better one. Now I know that it'll actually work. So.
Very good, Mum. Give us a 12.
Pardon?
Spin.
Have you ever been to Kmart and come across the clearance rack? Clothes for $2, and they're so cheap, and it's just such a shame that they're either too big or they're the wrong colour. But there are things that you can do with them, and I decided to buy a couple of dresses from the clearance rack at Kmart the other day that were $2, and I am going to flip them into something else, so we'll get started.